Hi Internet, my name's John Matos, and this is Watching Books. Before I start, I have a bit of a disclaimer. 13 Reasons Why is a very controversial show about suicide and rape and a whole bunch of very offensive topics to some people. And I wanted to discuss the controversy around the show before I talk about my personal feelings about it. And personally, I am very against censorship, and it seemed like a lot of the talk surrounding the show was about whether it should be there at all, whether it should exist. And personally, I'm very offended by that because a lot of kids do go through suicidal thoughts. A lot of kids, unfortunately, I knew many young girls that in high school that were raped, and I think that sort of thing should be addressed in young adult content. Things that are created that are targeted towards teenagers. And I was awestruck how many times I saw 13 Reasons Why on the news as this controversial show that might lead to kids harming themselves or might encourage the very behavior that it demonizes. And I think if you're a parent, and being a parent is a very difficult job, I hope that I'm able to do and I won't be pointed at later on for being hypocritical in this area. But I think that if you are a parent, you have one of two choices. Either you see something that's objectionable and you tell your kid not to watch it, or you watch it with them. And I think if it is something like this show where it has good intentions, it's not trying to get kids to kill themselves, it's trying to show all these different reasons why a kid looks at themselves and thinks, I don't belong in this world anymore. And it's trying to examine both sides where a kid is persecuted and bullied, and of course it's kind of selfish, and it's kind of it puts a lot of pressure on the kids that treated them that way if they just killed themselves. So it's there to examine what happens when someone kills themselves. And I think if you are willing to watch that alongside your kid who may or may not be at risk, then that is a way of showing them that you're there for them, that you want to hear the things that are going on in their lives, and you don't want them to think of their dark thoughts and their trials as something that they have to hide from their parents, rather than making that kind of content forbidden and trying to put all that stuff in the closet. So that being said, that's where I think this show shines. This girl commits suicide and then makes 13 tapes about why she committed suicide and the people in her life that affected her and made her so depressed by their negligence, by their victimizing her, using those tapes to show these people, this is what you did to me, and this is why I chose to do that. It shows the story from their perspective afterwards, trying to deal with this enormous amount of guilt, something that they did that maybe they didn't mean to do, but overall was a reason why this girl thought that there was nobody there for them. And then there was definitely people that victimized this girl and abused her. It's in these two things that you see the weaker parts of the show, because there are definitely people that did things to her intentionally, and they're really kind of two-dimensional characters who do a lot to this girl, and then all the other people, because they don't want what they did exposed, they kind of protect that person or persons. And it's kind of strange to think how disproportionate their actions were compared to the one or two kids that were just kind of caught in this big conspiracy where the whole point is to get all these tapes passed along and to fulfill this girl's wishes. But at the same time, if you knew that there was somebody who really hurt someone, and one thing that you said or did might be exposed if you have to go to the police or just tell someone about what happened. I mean, I put myself in those people's shoes, and I thought, of course, I would, make sure that this person is punished. There were definitely parts where I thought there were leaps of logic in the show, but there are also very dark things that this show deals with and doesn't apologize for, and really, I think, impactfully goes over situations without really showing a black and white comparison. There's a lot of gray areas, and I think that's the strength of the show. It's really showing us things that we need to talk about and that aren't that easy to deal with. I think that's really why I would recommend this show for anybody who does like young adult literature, who does enjoy seeing something that is, more adult in nature but about younger people. And part of it is that I am not a teenager anymore, and so I obviously have a different type of perspective. I myself am a writer of young adult literature, and so I saw my work in this series very much because obviously when you're writing about teenagers, they're a lot more impulsive, they're a lot more naive, and so you're trying to write to that, but at the same time not make it so painstaking for somebody who's older reading or listening or watching, because you want it to still be engaging and you don't want to be distracted by people making stupid and rash decisions, because you want to root for somebody at the end of the day, and you want there to be a hero that is interesting, and you want some sort of insight that you wouldn't see normally. And so, but I think there's definitely enough of that insight and enough of that gravitas to this show to compel you forward. And I think definitely the last half of the season definitely picks up and makes for very compelling watch through. And I heard that there's going to be a season 2, so I will be watching season 2 of 13 Reasons Why. And there's definitely a lot of stuff in the last episode to suggest what's going to be involved in that season. So I hope that if it does branch out from the book, that it is still very compelling and that they don't rush, that they really take their time to continue the tone and the insight that they packed into the first season. So that's my review of 13 Reasons Why. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.